All right. Hey, good Friday afternoon, everybody. Scott Luton back with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's live stream. So on today's show, we're going to be doing something that at least we have never done, at least here at Supply Chain Now. As we've heard from a variety of listeners and as all of us have seen a lot of really cool and neat approaches out in social media, during these challenging times, folks are looking for a departure. They're looking for a way to blow off some steam, connect with folks. Connectivity has been a really important element we've heard a lot about. And we're looking to loosen up a bit and have a little bit of fun, right? Taking a departure from the environment all around us and discuss some things work-related and a lot of things non-work-related. So today's Sippin, Strummin, and Supply Chain has been born to really help meet that need. So this is going to be a lighthearted show. This is going to be a lot different than anything we typically do by design. So we hope that you're going to enjoy today's content and enjoy our approach to it and enjoy some of the questions and the conversations we're going to have, as well as the music. And music's a big part of our DNA here at Supply Chain Now. So I want to welcome in my fearless co-host here today, quite a panel. Of course, Greg White, serial supply chain tech entrepreneur. Down below me there. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you, Scott?
Great to see you. Sorry, I'm getting my directions wrong.
I know. It's hard to know where everyone is. That's Scott.
It's like,
there you go. I've got Will up here.
It's like the Brady Bunch going on. Beau Groover.
And by the way, we have not started sipping yet.
That's right.
Just to be clear.
Only strumming and talking. Yeah. Beau Groover, founder and president of the Effective Syndicate. How you doing, Beau?
I'm doing just right. Glad to be here.
Great to have you back. We did a really neat show about a week ago, and it's been well received. So great to have you back. And of course, Will Haraway, founder and chief evangelist for Backbeat Marketing, but even more relevant, perhaps, a founding member of one of the best bands that dig supply chain called the Sundogs. Will, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy.
Great to have you back.
Yeah, man.
So to our audience, again, this is for us, this is new. And for me, this is really getting out of our comfort zone. But we're going to meet the need. We do need to take a break from some of the stuff that we're all dealing with. So for starters, and let's start with Greg, and we'll work our way around. Greg, what is your drink of choice here today?
So today, is it okay to say brands?
Sure.
Okay. Your father-in-law is already sounding off, by the way.
Yes. Hey, Fred.
I am drinking Booker's bourbon.
Okay.
And I told the gang a story about this. So often when you go on spring break, especially here in Georgia, you go to the coast, and often you take a bunch of people's kids with you. So I would like to thank Phil Brannon for that bottle of bourbon as a thank you gift for taking his daughter Abby to where was it? The Gulf Coast somewhere one year. So
outstanding.
It's managed to make it a few years, and I'm thankful for it.
Outstanding. Yeah. And I love the story behind that. So we all might not have a story behind our drink of choice here today, but if you do, please share. So Beau, what about you?
I am drinking a Manhattan that is made with straight edge bourbon.
Okay.
And
I love that.
I love the picture, right? Not as good of a story, but it was introduced to me by one of the bartenders at New York Prime. I sometimes go for happy hour and have a drink. And I said, hey, what kind of bourbon do you have that I've never heard of? And he said, have you ever had straight edge? And I hadn't at the time, but I have since had it several times.
Okay.
He looked at your head and said, this is a guy that knows a straight edge. Right?
Well, funny enough, there's two bartenders at New York Prime. They're both bald and they're both named Steve. So you just go down there and say, Steve.
All right. Good stuff. And then Will, what's your drink of choice here?
Well, right now, not to derail our whole theme here, but I do have a Topo Chico mineral water, the finest mineral water around, and that's only because I'm playing some socially distanced singles tennis in about an hour and a half.
All right, hit them straight.
Taking advantage of a gorgeous day in the Atlanta area for sure. So hopefully everyone else is experiencing some of this weather we are here. All right. So Fred.
But I will say, Scott.
Yes.
But I will say, Scott. After one set, I will be drinking some Monday night Slap Fight IPA, locally brewed right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
You're gonna make sure to win that first set first, aren't you?
Well, we'll see how it goes. Depends on how the set goes.
All right, so good stuff, and you got to let us know who wins the tennis match, Will. But I got $5 riding on you. All right, so sure. Fred has joined us. Fred, we got family here with us. So Fred's my father-in-law that lives up in the North Georgia mountains, and not only is he drinking Granddaddy Mim's authentic apple, which is moonshine, brewed right here in the state of Georgia, in Blairsville, Georgia, but we've got some here. This is their 140 proof. Not only is that a great mixer, but in case you lack hand sanitizer, that double duty.
But also, aren't they making hand sanitizer at Mim's?
Well, you're stealing my thunder, Greg. So,
oh man,
not that far from it to begin with.
That's right. Well, kidding aside, one of the best stories that we've seen play out across industry that's really uplifting and positive is how all these companies are finding ways to fight against this pandemic that we all face. And the great folks, Fred and Tommy Townsend and all the whole team at Granddaddy Mim's in Blairsville have been repurposing their operation to help provide ingredients, namely high quality alcohol to help companies make hand sanitizer. They're in talks with companies here in Georgia and companies in Texas and other places, all to help get in the fight. So that's an awesome story. And Fred, great to have you here with us too. All right. So
hey, Scott, real quick.
Yes.
That, I think people really appreciate what some companies are doing, but some companies are doing what they're doing in the midst of a downturn for their business. But the wine and spirits and beer industry is experiencing a pretty substantial uptick. So interesting that in the middle of a time when they could really be producing a lot, that they're giving back. I mean, I think that speaks volumes.
Love that. Great point. So real quick on LinkedIn, really appreciate Rob and Tim and our friend Todd C that we all love dearly. And are all tuned in. Todd's already requesting Freebird, Will. So we'll wait till the next show. But hey, we've also have Ramsey from the Savannah area. Ramsey has been on the show before. He's got a really cool world perspective. So Ramsey, welcome, and hope you and your family are doing well. All right. So from there, I think we want to make a little departure. Well, what goes with drinking? I guess toasting. So I think we're going to go around the horn and get everybody's favorite go-to toast. And I am nervous to hand off the baton at this point, but I'm going to do so anyway. So Greg, you go first.
Yeah. So, sorry, gang. So you have to recognize that my family is, in some cases, first-generation immigrants, and in some cases, Native Americans, and in some cases, a mixture. So we have a lot of toasts in our family. But one that is our go-to as a family is one I actually got from my good friend, Brian Koenig from Cleveland, of all things. And Brian is suffering with MS now, but he's been a great, great friend, a long-suffering football fan. We had to make him a Chiefs fan because the Browns will never go to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, that might be true. But his toast, I would like to honor his toast and say, here's to them, and here's to us, and here's to them that wants to be like us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, here. All right, real quick before we go to Beau, Claudia has been with us. I'm not sure how leading the organization that she leads. She's been with us on all these live streams. we're getting a little bit of feedback. So
yeah, that's me. I might go away for a second, but
all
I'll
right,
be back.
be right back. But so Claudia is drinking Campari, and Claudia was also on a live stream with on LinkedIn where she was talking with Bill Gates. So she's had a big week.
Nice.
So welcome, Claudia. All right, so Beau, let us hear it. What's your go-to toast?
Yeah, so I recently did the Ancestry.com. It was a Christmas present. I thought I knew what I was, and turns out I was right. So I'm English Irish, and my toast is, may your luck be just like the capital of Ireland. Always be Dublin.
Hi, Lottie.
That's a good one.
Cheers.
All right. So a real quick shout out. We've got Matthew, Matt, a friend of ours, who's also from the Cleveland area. He says, ouch on the Browns, Greg. Come on, you got to lay off the Browns. They're in enough pain.
Hey, let me just say that is with love from fellow Marty Schottenheimer fans. If you're a Browns fan from long enough back, you remember the days when Marty was the coach, and we were thankful for receiving him. And I feel like during those tough days, Chiefs and Browns fan became brethren. We want you to make it. We do want you to make it.
That's right. That's right. We'll all celebrate. It's like when the Cubs won to some degree.
Amen.
To some degree, when the Browns win. All right, that's a tough one.
No,
well, I know that. Yeah, that's tough for Will because he's a
not signing off on that, Scott.
All right. But when the Browns win, I think everyone will celebrate. So, all right. So, Will, what's your go-to toast?
Well, I'm not Irish, but my wife is, and I've always liked, may the wind be always at your back and the road always rise to meet your feet. And I am going to send a toast out to John Prine, who passed away this week from coronavirus. He was my father's absolute favorite singer and songwriter. And, I'm going to miss him.
Amen. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, we've got a couple other folks weighing in on LinkedIn, including Joe M, who is drinking an old fashioned today, and Elijah Craig old fashioned. So keep the comments coming.
Good choice.
Yeah. That's right. So keep the comments coming. We're going to try to engage with our audience as much as possible across the 5 social streams that we're hitting right now. All right, so Fred is chiming in again, and he's got it.
Let's hear it. Come on,
Fred. You know I'm a big Braves fan, but we all can relate to long-suffering fans. So I told you Fred was going to fit right in. So next time we're going to have him live in the home studio.
Hey, Fred, I'm of the belief that Cubs should have a question mark at the end of their logo at all times. Come on.
Well, it's been long. It had been long enough that they went to the World Series that there weren't many actual Cubs left. They were full-grown Bears. So.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody became a Cubs fan when they won.
No, they did not.
Well, I mean, everybody. I think everybody was pretty happy to see that they won.
So I agree. Yeah. So hey, Tim, Beau, your colleague, he's enjoying Heaven and Ale. Company out of Strangers Blonde Ale, maybe. I think maybe it's made by that group. So, Tim, hope you're doing well, you and the family.
The best micro craft brew in Chattanooga is Heaven and Ale. Delicious.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so with no further ado, we're going to kind of pivot up. And my quick toast was W.C. Fields, one of the go-tos. Let us drink with impunity, or anyone else that's buying. So that's
I like it.
My go-to. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
All right. So, Will, one of the really cool things, right when we decided we were going to do this, we wanted to find some ways to make it a little bit different. And we all love music, and we're all big fans of Will Haraway and the Sundogs. So, with no further ado, we'd love to enjoy some of your talent right now.
Okay. Well, like I said, John Prine was but he's gone. But his music is my dad's favorite. And when I was growing up, my dad and his 4 brothers, they would always get together and they would play Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and John Denver and John Prine. And this is one of the songs that Dad played at home. So this is absolutely the first song that I ever knew the words to at all, and it's one of my favorites, and it's "Paradise" by John Brown. When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered so many times my memories are born. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train's hauled it away. Now sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Aitry Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we'd shoot without pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we could kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train's hauled it away. Then the coal country came with the world's largest shovel. They tortured the timber and stripped all the land. They dug for their coal till the land was forsaken, and wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes float down the Green River. Let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting, 5 miles away from wherever I am. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. And I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train and hauled it away. Mr. Peabody's coal train's hauled it away.
Love it, man. Awesome.
Wow.
I'm ashamed to say that I've never dug into John Preen's music. So if that is any indication, then that's something we're gonna have to be doing this weekend. So really appreciate you doing that. A little different twist. And what a gorgeous song. So, okay, on that note, we want to shift gears, right? And we're moving fast today. I think we've all, the world's changing so much day to day, if not hour to hour. And so much happens in the span of a week right now. A lot of people are hurting, whether it's economically or if it's health-wise or, some of the other setbacks. But as we talked about earlier, there is lots of good news still out there if you take the time to go out and find it and dive into that. So with that said, and Beau, we're going to put you on the spot first. So in particular, after this week we've had, what's on your mind and what stands out? What's really caught your attention this week?
Well, I think the updates on the COVID situation. I think the thing that has got me somewhat positive is they seem to be recasting the curves constantly, which is good. I think they started out with, "Oh my God, everybody's going to die." And they seem to be pulling it back a little bit. It seems like they're looking a little bit more at maybe some science and some real math instead of forecast and projections. So clearly we're not out of the woods yet, but it seems to be that we've got a better understanding of this virus that's going around. So I'm not super positive, but I'm pretty excited that hopefully we'll be let off being grounded soon.
Yep, great point. All right, so real quick aside, Tim on LinkedIn wants to know what you're playing, what acoustic guitar you're guitar you're playing.
So this is this is a Recording King parlor sized guitar. And I bought it because I thought it was so pretty when I walked into the guitar store. It's Firehouse Guitars over on North Decatur Road, just down the way from me. And I walked in there and I looked at the wall and I said, if that thing can play worth a damn, I'm taking it home. and it's also wired for you can plug it in to an amplifier. So that meant to me that it was functional. So I picked it up and it did play worth a damn, and I took it home. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's cool too. And if you've ever seen that movie, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is on Netflix, it's a Coen Brothers. So the best part of that movie is the first part, when Buster Scruggs is on his horse and he's singing and he has this guitar, which is pretty cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
And as you can see, you already have a fan over in Northwest Atlanta. Vicky is a big fan of guitar. So, and hello,
I
Vicky.
know what she's really saying. That's my wife. What she's saying is, Will's gorgeous, but I'm going to say the guitar is gorgeous.
All right. Well,
it's that air.
So bringing it all the way back to Beau's point, and not to take anything away from it, because we all need some data-driven positivity as well as non-data-driven positivity. So good stuff there. All right, Greg, when you look at the last week, what stands out in your mind?
Trust. The word trust was used a lot this week. When we've talked to people, like we talked to people about the 100 million mask challenge, they talked about trust and how trust is enabling that, and also about how trust between entities is being established. And also when we talked to Mary Kate Love from the founder of National Supply Chain Day, by the way, Mary Kate Love, when we talked to her about the interactions that she sees from with companies, trust is a major factor, not only in conducting business today, but also in developing the integrations and the networks between people and between companies that'll help us through this thing. And I don't think that's unique to business. It's not unique to supply chain. It's just that, one of the things we heard today also, or this week also, Scott, was you can take advantage of an opportunity without being opportunistic.
Yeah.
Rick DeFiesta mentioned that this week. And I think that's the spirit of how we get through this for business and just in everyday life.
Well, what Rick also said this week that we all loved, and we're going to make a t-shirt out of, is whether the glass is half empty or half full, you always have room for more wine. And that's the way we need to be looking at the world.
That's a really good point, because half empty or half full, that's just your current status. That's not your opportunity, right? Your opportunity is to fill the glass. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good call.
Real quick aside, we've got Fred enjoyed the music. Will, you saw that. Michelle loved it too. Hello, Michelle. Part of the team and a great friend of the family as well. So hope you and your family are doing well. All right. Will, looking at last week, what sticks out?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the fact that just talking about our sphere that we usually talk about here, and that's supply chain, is that it's really brought the focus back to just how important supply chain is to commerce and to just the world in general. I feel like just everyone from the warehouse worker to the truck driver. I mean, people are seeing that it's critical that these guys stay healthy and the work that they're doing. And just amongst some of the clients that we have, being able to see some things like our client RoadSync and their touchless technology. That they did a funding round this week, and we as a team sort of talked about like, all right, well, we're talking about funding. Is that appropriate necessarily? But we felt like it was, number one, because we do want to start to show a little bit of business as usual, that business is being done, but also that some of the technology that's out there is is helping keep some of these logistics workers safe. Like, not that this is ideal by any stretch, but if it means that people are taking that a little bit more seriously as far as updating their technology to be more efficient and be more safe, then that can be a good result of all of this.
Yeah.
But as far as like another just thing, I mean, I think attitude has been just amongst our community here. Definitely, where I live here in Druid Hills and on beyond, I think people are doing a good job. I mean, they're taking the distancing seriously, and what you see on social media, which is kind of how we're all connecting, and talking to my parents back in Memphis and all of that. Everybody, for the most part, seems to be keeping their chin up, and I think that's really important, as we go forward.
Great points. And I want to piggyback. So I tell you, having been an entrepreneur for 7 years, I'm not sure, and we're getting a little bit of feedback. There we go. I'm not sure if I've ever struggled with tone as much as I am right now, to your point. But despite that, something you shared there, we're trying to put in every single piece of content, every single social media, anything we do is the importance of, as important as it is to keep our healthcare workforce protected and safe, our brave men and women in supply chain across the globe. We've got to keep them protected. We've got to keep them safe. Clearly, I think there's so much more appreciation now for what they do. That's a silver lining. But we were talking with Daniel Stanton, Mr. Supply Chain, this morning. That's a big part of the message he's putting out there. And there's a lot of kindred spirits there. We've got to do whatever it takes to keep these people protected. Unfortunately, we just saw it reported in the last 24 hours, some of the meatpacking plants have been taken down because of the workforce. And it goes without saying, we want to protect that workforce because of their welfare and their families and whatnot, of course. But they're as critical as anyone else in this fight right now. So very passionate about that. And one other quick point from this past week, we continued our Logistics with Purpose series with our friends at Vector Global Logistics, and on that show we spotlighted the story of Rise Against Hunger, which are doing God's work. They're out there helping feed families that don't have what they need there. And unfortunately, what really stood out in that conversation is, despite how everyone else's world has changed, that need goes and it continues and persists, and how these nonprofits are finding ways of serving needs like that despite these challenging environments. Those are huge, oftentimes supply chain and certainly leadership success stories. So really a big shout out to Rise Against Hunger. And this shirt, I don't know if y'all can see that. This is my Dave Krejci Foundation, which is another great nonprofit here in Atlanta. They serve kids who want to play athletics but don't have the wherewithal, and their families don't have the wherewithal to provide the materials they need and everything you need these days to play sports. And those needs continue during these challenging times. So anyway, those are some of the things between my ears this week. And I know collectively we all can't wait to break through. As we've talked about a couple times this week, I can't wait for the party on the other side of this thing, right? When we're beyond the safety factor and the loss and all this stuff. So really appreciate y'all jumping on today and sharing what's on your hearts and minds.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Huge devices, I think, I don't think iOS plays nice with whatever with our streamer here.
Now
So,
you're good,
is
buddy.
it any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
you're good.
Thanks,
I think
guys.
you're good. All right. So really quick comment from on that last looking forward, Michelle. Supply chain party in Blue Ridge when the quarantine's over. Okay, well, we'll all sign up for that.
Heck yeah.
Like
All right,
that.
so
With a stop in Dawsonville.
that's right. That's right. So let's shift gears to some of the good news that's out there, right? We all are familiar with some of the challenging components of this landscape. Let's talk about some good news. And Beau, since you're the last person to take a swig, I'm gonna start with you. So
Ooh.
what's been some of the good news that you've seen out here lately?
Well, I mean, I think you guys hit on it. I don't know that I've got a very specific or poignant story. I think there's a lot to be said about the American spirit. I think for the most part, people are trying to stay indoors, and you know, I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's not easy, right? And we're blessed because, you know, I've got a house, I've got food, I've got electricity and all that stuff. So I can imagine in certain places it's much, much harder. But I think the American spirit is a good news story. I think people are trying in earnest to do the right thing because we really still don't know what is the right thing. And I think as you guys were talking about seeing I think it's very atypical to see the private sector connecting so closely with the government sector on how do we problem solve, how do we ramp up production, how do we get the medical supplies that's needed at a faster pace to the places where, you know, the front lines is where it's needed most. And then, you know, you see the post of people giving standing ovations to the folks who are coming in and out of the hospitals, really, you know, truly the frontline folks who are in there dealing with sick patients, trying to keep them motivated and uplifted. I mean, there's just, in spite of it being what it is, which is this weird unknown virus that's floating around, there's still a lot of good stuff that's coming out of it. And I hope people, you know, can pay attention and say, you know, yeah, our glass is certainly half full right now.
Great point. Love that. All right, so let's go to Will. What's some good news that you have been involved with or been reading about or it's front of mind?
Well, you know, again, just that, not to belabor the point, but that you're seeing some good things from some good highlights from supply chain, you know, companies like RoadSync, who I mentioned. You know, another one is here in town, Locator X, who also announced a funding round this week, and part of the work that they are, you know, and Locator X can monitor a product or a part throughout its entire life cycle, basically from its birth certificate on. And so that's important, you know, again, because now where something has been and who has touched it and when has never been more important. And they are trying to get involved actually to offer their technology to some different organizations to help with finding out where some of these ventilators are. You know, so that's definitely, again, just kind of shining a light on some of this technology and how it can help. Another company here in town, Gray Orange, that I know we're a friend of the show, all familiar with, you know, with their philosophy of robots and humans working together. You know, again, that's never been more important as far as, you know, creating safety and distance in the warehouse space. So just seeing those companies kind of getting their technology out in an empathetic, you know, in an empathetic way, that's something we've been focused on as a team here. And you know, that's definitely good news to business as usual, but also helpful to the workers that interact.
Yeah, great points. Claudia, going back to your point, Beau, Claudia says, great point. You were talking about co-opetition. Co-opetition is good for everybody, right? It challenges us all to get better. All right, want to share a couple things as Greg gets reconnected. I saw a news article earlier today, or maybe yesterday, about Tyler Perry and how he went in and bought tens of thousands of groceries for families, and I think seniors in New Orleans and in Atlanta. That's really cool to see that. Fred makes a great point. Supply chains risen to the forefront in agricultural terms. From field to fork, we have a lot of heroes. Great point. Along those lines, Fred, I think what I find really uplifting and positive and energizing is when I see car companies making ventilators that Will referred to.
Yeah.
And when I see breweries and distilleries figuring out how to use excess or other resources to make sanitizers and other things. I mean, that's what it's all about. Let's see here, a comment here from Amanda, I'm not sure. 16-year-old has been using his flying lessons to deliver medical supplies to rural hospitals fighting COVID-19. Those are stories that should energize and inspire us all. So those are some of the things on my radar. Greg, now that you have finished vacuuming the house.
Oh my gosh.
What?
I have never had, and what's funny is this is not alcohol induced. I have never had this much difficulty staying connected. So I think this is just it's a really interesting topic, and everyone wants to be a part of it.
That's right. Great point.
Positive things.
Yeah, good news. What's good news out there?
And I see a whole lot. I mean, I think the good news is that we are starting to see the backside of the curve in a lot of places. Look, we're starting to see commerce start to re-engage in certain countries, Denmark, Sweden, the Netherlands, and other countries. I do think a lot of countries have taken pride, not just the States, but we talk to an international audience here. There are lots of countries who've really pulled together, and I know that the issues that you have from a political standpoint or whatever, they exist in many, many countries, but you see those countries starting to pull together as this goes on. And, those two things between some countries starting to get to the point where they can put commerce back in play, and to see the unification of people around the world, it's inspiring.
Yeah, great point. Joe from LinkedIn talks about how folks, everyone and their brother and their sister, using the words supply chain. That's a great industry, right? So as we break through that, so much more awareness for how critical global supply chains are. That is certainly part of the silver lining there. AJ, let's see. AJ Hardwick, maybe from Twitter, talks about how the teachers, which, in a moment, I think last week, as one of our three kids' teachers came on, was meeting with her students. She got really upset and emotional because she was connecting with all those folks that she hadn't, and the students she loves, and it was tough. It was tough not to get emotional right with her. So all those teachers out there that are fighting hard to help all the parents who have been kind of blindsided with everything it takes to keep our kids learning. That's a lot of good news there.
Hey, I real quick on it? So John Krasinski from The Office and Jack Ryan, he has a show that he's doing, I think, about once a week called SNG, Some Good News. And today his show was, I think that, after just 2 weeks for him of homeschooling, I think that teachers should be paid $1.7 million a day.
Right. Agreed. Hey, agreed. And two other quick stories, and we're going to move on, and I'm going to make a little audible here. Jack Dorsey with Twitter pledged $1 billion, 28% of his net worth to COVID-19 relief efforts. That's really cool. And then I'm not sure where this was, but according to some of our comments in the audience, a man uses all of his savings, $900, to fill up gas tanks for dozens of nurses headed to a nearby hospital. All these positive anecdotes,
Random acts of kindness.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And one last personal thing, and we'll get your plucking fingers ready to go, because we're going to go to your next song next, and then we're going to come back. But so many people here in the country, in the U.S. and elsewhere, have identified that need of how they can help make masks for our healthcare professionals, and they have jumped in with both feet. Even though she doesn't like the publicity, my wife Amanda has been driving that.
Yeah.
My buddy Tim G's mother has been doing it. There's been people, Jan B, another friend of the family. They all finding ways of using their talents to help fight the good fight. So good stuff. Beau, Greg, we miss anything? We're ready for some more incredible, talented artistry from the one and only Will Haraway.
It hurts me to mention this one good deed by the evil empire, but the Patriots sent their team plane to get 1 million masks and bring them back to the States. So as much as it pains me to say it, thank you to Robert Kraft.
And Beau, miss anything else on good news?
No, I think we hit it.
All right, awesome. All right, Will, all you, sir.
Well, this one's probably appropriate on a number of levels. Well, sometime in our life, we all have pain. We all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. No, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Oh, please swallow your pride. If I have things that you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. Oh, no, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Well, if there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, and I'll share your load. If you just call me when you need a friend. Oh, call me. You just call me. You just call on me. just call on me when you need a friend. You just call me when you need a friend. Oh, call on me.
Awesome, man. If I could carry a tune, I would have loved to share it with each of y'all. But that's
You have to sing along.
I was singing just with a muted mic. You're
There
welcome.
you go. There you
Will.
go.
That was awesome.
Rest in peace, Bill Withers.
Yeah.
Rest in
Amen.
peace, sir.
Amen. So on the music note, I think Amanda and I are going to watch it tonight, and I keep pointing over here because Amanda's sitting just to my right, watching social media and engaging with our audience. We missed the Kenny Rogers tribute on CMT, I think, last night, and I think it's on YouTube. So we're looking forward to watching that tonight. But also, if y'all have been, and I don't know if you are country music fans or not, but the Grand Ole Opry, which has been playing tunes on Saturday night for I don't know how many years, 60 years or something, and they are practicing social distancing, but live streaming Saturday night at the Opry. And it is such a cool thing to see. You know, music's always passionate and emotional, but right now during this time, it's like comfort food that we all need.
Yeah.
So if you like country music, check out that live stream that CMT is doing, or the Grand Ole Opry is doing on Saturday nights. Okay.
I can say, Scott, without even looking, or I can say without a fact that there will be a lot of John Prine played there on Saturday.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure. Amen.
Yeah.
All right. So on the topic of music, a little departure. You know, we talked a little bit of supply chain. We talked a little bit of everything today. What are, and this is a question for the panel here as much as it is a question for our audience. So what are the tunes that motivate you, that uplift your spirit, that when you hear it, it makes you forget a little bit about the challenges that you have? So Greg, I'm putting you on the spot, and we're going to start with you, and then we'll work our way around, and of course we'll intersperse that with comments from the audience.
So this could be controversial around the world, but I'm a huge Van Halen fan, and also not a non-fan of Van Hagar. But Dreams by Van Halen has to be one of the songs that motivates me the most. When I start a walk, I start it with that song.
Great point. Love it. Really quick comment from Fred. It's following us on LinkedIn and tuned in. And Fred's doing great work with supply chain students at one of the local major universities. In fact, we're going to be featuring them on an upcoming show. And Fred says, good news, crisis reveals capacity. Many great companies showing their flexibility to shift resources to produce masks and sanitizer and ventilators, etc. Supply chains not in crisis, as the media suggests. Supply chains are innovative and flexible. Love that commentary, Fred. Okay, Beau, tunes. Tell us what gets you going.
Well, so the two tunes that make me, or that have come to mind from the COVID situation, are The Police, Don't Stand So Close to Me, which I think is pretty appropriate, and Calling All Angels by Train.
Oh, yeah.
So those two seem to be like my theme song for what we're going through right now. It's like, man, just give us some relief and do it from way over there, at least 6 feet over there.
Yeah.
And as far as an uplifting song, I don't know if people will know, there's a band called Dream Theater, and there's a song called Pull Me Under. That's just like, I'm going to do my thing. Give me whatever you got, because I'm going to keep going. So that's mine.
Love it. Will, we may have gotten a little sneak peek of your answer with your selections today, but what else really gets you?
Well, you know, certainly like everybody else, I've been watching the the home concerts that musicians are doing. You know, I've really enjoyed some things like Jeff Tweedy from Wilco, who's one of my favorites. He and his family have been doing songs. Jason Isbell and his wife Amanda Shires, they've been doing tunes like "Wish You Were Here." You know, those kind of fun covers. And they've been doing it from their social media channels. It's great. There's a band that, as far as like an uplifting band, it's one of my very favorites right now. Actually, is a band called Hiss Golden Messenger. That's Hiss like the snake, HISS, and they're out of Durham, North Carolina. And it's very positive and uplifting music. And they released just about 2 weeks ago. They released a record where all of the proceeds to it go to public schools in that area. And if you listen to it, it's you can find it easily. Just search up Hiss. Yep. Hiss Golden Messenger, and it's just fabulous. And that's when it makes that helps me feel uplifted. And when I feel a little hesitant and angry, maybe I'll listen to the Drive-By Truckers and their latest release, The Unraveling, which they seem to have presaged, and they did this with their last record too, American band. But with that one came out like in February, at the end of February, The Unraveling did, and boy, we've unraveled a little bit since then, but we're stitching it back up, I guess.
Amen.
Those are my favorites.
Love it, and I love your on your Facebook channel. You're kind of offering daily selections to consider. I think that's really cool. Rob on LinkedIn says "Sweet Home Alabama." Tim,
there you go. It's got to be Rob Dylan.
Yeah, that's right. Tim says "Blackberry Smoke," and Philly coming on.
I like Tim's
Star
music. He knows a little bit about guitars, and he likes good music.
Amen.
Charlie Starr, my man.
All right, so a couple that we actually, Amanda, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Luton.
Yes,
I have a question for you.
What?
Name a song or two that you consider uplifting or motivating in these. Nobody ever asks you questions, so let's.
Hey, that's how I like it.
Let's hear it.
Whoever passes the ball.
That's right. All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. That song. One of my last college professors in my last semesters played that on the last class, and it was just such a perfect ending to share his perspective. This is kind of a new one that many people may not have heard this. I don't know. Dierks Bentley has a great song called "I Hold On," which is very powerful. "Lean on Me" is awesome. Will, you stole. I mean, I think that's on the mind of so many people right now.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, and it reminds me of that movie back in the late '80s with Morgan Freeman.
Lean on Me.
Yes, I mean it's such a neat.
Yeah.
What that Morgan Freeman does that you can't watch 1,000 times. I don't know. And finally, none of these fit together, but New York, New York by Sinatra, I think, is a really cool song. Against all odds, we're gonna persevere, and that's really cool too. Amanda, right off camera here. Amanda, give us one or two songs.
She can come in on camera, can't she?
Well, she's on the other side.
She doesn't want to, does she?
So Amanda says anything. A lot of the Indigo Girls and
beautiful Decatur.
Indigo Girls are my favorites.
Okay, all right. Her go-to is Indigo Girls. What was that, Will?
Well, it's Decatur, Georgia, man. Indigo Girls.
They're local.
Yeah.
Really? New to me. All right. So, hey, I'm learning by the hour. Claudia says, "I Will Survive." Of course, Gloria Gaynor, a great one there. Nice. So from here, we're almost at our hour, and it's much fun as I'm having. Hopefully, our audience has kind of enjoyed the right turn here. Really love all the participation and the comments and the questions. I think this is what I don't know. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but this is a lot of what I needed, after a tough week.
Hey, can I raise a toast real quick?
Please.
I want to let the entire world know this. Here's to Scott Luton. Everybody raise a glass, because this is as loose as Scott Luton gets right here.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, cheers.
Well, when we did the pre-show a little bit, we said, how is he going to respond to 3 hippies who are actually drinking, and how's he going to manage it? So, great job. Great job from going off the rails.
I appreciate it. When we And thank you, Fred. We got together and we want to do this first one. There's so much kindred spirits between the four folks in the panels right here. And, it's so important to kind of figure out how to do this first one and how to, again, going back to where we started, trying to strike the right tone. And that's so tough to do right now. So I really appreciate y'all's patience as we work through that. So where do we go from here? How do we wrap? Greg and Beau and Will, what's a great question or comment to wrap on here? How about key takeaway?
Well, I don't know about a key takeaway. I mean, I think I would like to wrap on just keep on keeping on, man. We don't know when this is going to be over. We don't know exactly what things are going to look like, and that's okay. We don't control it. We can't really change the trajectory other than respecting physical distancing for a while. So just keep your head up, keep marching forward, and we'll all come out of this a little bit stronger and a whole lot smarter, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And, on that note, Beau, you really you've kind of doubled down during these times and have been creating daily videos, just little snippets of ways that folks can challenge themselves and keep making progress. So you can check that out. I think we've got a link to the Effective Syndicate on each of the show notes here. So love what you're doing, and appreciate you taking time out here today. Greg, in that vein,
Will go first. Will is leaning forward. I want to see what he's got to say.
Oh, sure. Well, I was just going to say, as frustrating as all of this can be, you guys know me. I'm not scared to look at the positive. I'm definitely a glass half full kind of guy. There is something to be said for maybe all of us slowing down, extending our attention span a little bit, remembering what's important, spending time. I mean, I know through all of this, absolutely, we're all, you got your day-to-day stuff, but I am enjoying spending as much time as I am with my children and my wife, and and I hope you guys are all feeling the same way. This is a time to sort of reconnect and understand what's important in your life and the people that are most important to you.
Amen. That's a great point, Will. Real quick aside, Angie Reno, Angie loved what you shared a second ago, Beau, and said you were spot on. And by the way, Angie was on Let's Talk Supply Chain with Sarah Barnes Humphrey. Check that out.
Great episode.
Great interview with two of our favorites, two favorite leaders in supply chain. But Will, you're right. It almost, during these challenging times, you figure out what's most important. And, that's maintaining context and perspective is always tough to do in challenging environments, but that's certainly one of the silver linings too. What we know and learn, and as we get through to the other side. Greg.
Yeah. So I'm probably should be embarrassed, but I'm not to say that this. I've just tried to, as Beau said, keep on keeping on. Look, I work with, obviously spend most of my time with supply chain now, but I work with a lot of other companies, Flourish and Ships and others and what I'm trying to do is, as Will alluded to earlier, make sure they get funded or stay funded or have funding programs, Blue Ridge, companies like that, to make sure that they're making a difference in this time and they're making their way through this time. And I got to tell you, I feel a little. I feel like I ought to feel a little bit different, frankly, at times when people say they're depressed or they're concerned or that, or that they feel that this is a catastrophe, because I don't feel that it is at all. I feel like this is a temporary upturning of society, of business, of health. And as Scott and many people have said before, this too shall pass. I am unabashedly optimistic, and I believe that things will get better. They might get worse before they get better, but they will get better, and we'll all come through it stronger for it.
Amen. Well, typically we say this too shall pass. It may pass like a kidney stone, but this too shall pass. So, all right. So on that note, Will and Beau and Greg really have enjoyed this last hour. Thank you for pushing us to do this. I think it's therapeutic, right? You're kind of you're bearing all in many ways, right? But I really appreciate y'all and your leadership, your thought leadership, and what you've shared here today. So on that note, let's wrap this up. One last quick 15-second answer question.
Oh,
Are you looking? 15 seconds. What are you looking forward to most this weekend? Beau, we'll start with you.
Jennifer and I have some fun stuff planned for the kids to celebrate Easter with.
Outstanding. Will.
Yeah, man, dying Easter eggs. Come on, it's Easter weekend.
And Greg.
Yeah, Sunday is Easter. I mean,
outstanding.
More do you need to say, right? I mean, I love it when Passover and Easter cross paths. It's a great time of life.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. All right. So to our listeners, thank you for joining us here today. Really have enjoyed Will Haraway, Beau Groover, and Greg White and all the perspective. Will, love the music. Appreciate you, working with us and getting a little bit more creative here. Hope to have you back next time.
My pleasure.
You bet. All right. So to our audience, check out a wide variety of thought leadership. Most of it not looking like the past hour, but we'll work on producing more.
Not nearly as good.
That's right. Well, you can learn more at supplychainnow.radio.com. Of course, if you like the live stream, check out our podcast. You can find us and subscribe wherever you get those there from. On behalf of the entire team here, Scott Luton with a simple message as we wrap up. Don't panic. Don't give in to panic. Stay strong, stay grounded, find that positivity, find the good news that's out there. Brighter days do lie ahead. And on that note, we look forward to seeing you next time here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.